Hey guys, welcome back to Susie on the Farm. I picked up these. I don't really remember exactly what I paid, but I have 6 of them. These heart baking pans, and I want to make like a banner for my Valentine's display here in the store. So we're going to see what we can do with these. I think that I'm positive that I want to decoupage in at least half of these. I'm going to leave 3 of them as is, but I'm going to put those 3 aside, and I am going to paint just the inside. Or should we do this side? Yeah, I think I'll do the outsides. I'm going to paint just the outside of the heart white, so we have a good white base for our decoupage paper. Okay, I want to put these hearts from, oh, he's so cute too. Maybe we'll do 1 heart and the dragonfly and the little bee. This is Mini Brights. This is a Connie Lines and Designs paper. It is available on susieonthefarm.com. But first, I'm going to put a little background, and this is just some scraps that I have left over from Roycycled, I think typography blocks is the name of it. So I'm just going to decoupage those down using Fusion Decoupage and Transfer Gel. I only did 1 coat of paint. We just need a lighter background. These are so small, I didn't need to do them in smaller sections. I just painted the whole little heart with the transfer gel. Mist my paper and lay it in it. And then do another layer on top. I'm going to just paint the backs of these that I want to use with that white. And I'm only going to do the hearts, so I'll tear them out. Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'll just do the hearts on here since they'll be uniform, and we'll use these for something in this display for sure. All right, my decoupage paper is dry, pretty much. And I need to get this excess off. So I'm just gonna use sandpaper to do that. And it looks as though I need to change out my sandpaper. It's just because of those scalloped edges having to go in. All right, all those edges are cleaned up and the excess paper removed. I'm going to cut out the hearts, but I'm going to leave an edge with that background on there too. I just think it gives it just a little more interest, and I like it. One. 2 and 3. But before I glue those down or decoupage them down, I am going to just quickly ink these edges. It just defines them more, makes them look more finished, like they were not just cut into these hearts. And then finally, I am going to decoupage them right on here. I'm going to decoupage them so I can be sure and seal them up. Hello, Weezy. You want to come say hi? You pretty girl. You're a pretty sweet girl. Yes, you are. Me kisses. Mwah. Okay, now I need to let them dry again. All right, I don't really have this worked out. In my mind, I've kind of got an idea. I've got all this out. I'm going to tie some messy bows to put, or some rag bows to put in between. And I think to string them together, I'm going to use this ribbon. So I'm going to just try to string all these together. More here. All right, I need to tie 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my little rag bows. All right, I've got some of that same ribbon. I have some lace. How long do I want these to be? I think that's pretty good. I have some of this, it was on a spool. It's some kind of tinsel, but I thought it was pretty. Some yarn, a couple strands of that yarn, and then I have some torn fabric. That's too thick. Let me rip that in half. Again, I feel like this is too thick. I have some of this ribbon. I'm not crazy about the brown. All right, there's one. I'll I'll probably have to give them a haircut and do a little bit more, but I'm going to do the other 4 off camera. For project number 2, I picked up this handmade pitcher. Probably didn't pay $3.99, even though I think that's a pretty good deal if I did. White tags were more than likely half off because that's the only time that I shop at this thrift store is on Mondays when they have dollar tags and a half off tag. So it was either half off or $1, more than likely. Doesn't look like it was ever painted. So we're going to do that today. But first I'm going to put a mold on it. And I wanted to do a heart mold. So I went through just quickly. I'm going to use the heart in the heraldry mold. And I might even do the wings. I haven't decided that yet. I just love the vintage texture on this one. I stopped after I found that one. But then I remembered I wanted to show you guys too that there's also a heart in the fleur de lis mold. It's a pretty one too. And then there's a small one in cameos with a bow. And there may be more. These are just the ones that off the top of my head I remembered. But we're going to use this one and we're going to use clay. So first I'm going to put some clay in that mold. So it's easy for put some cornstarch in the mold. Dust it a little bit with it, and then I'm going to take my air dry clay. I haven't used this in a while, so I'll have to work it in my hands pretty good. And then I'm just going to push it into that mold and use my thumb to clean up the edges. The IOD molds have this little micro rim right there that really helps in cleaning up the edges of your molds. Makes them really nice and neat. And then I'll just turn it over and use gravity to help it come right out. Look how pretty. And then you can just take your finger and any excess clay. I think I'm going to just do just the heart. I don't want to go overboard with this. So I'm going to go ahead while it's wet. And this is my favorite Type Bond Quick and Thick Multi-Surface Glue. Put some on the back of it, and I'm just going to go ahead and use my finger. It already has clay all over it, and spread it all along the back, all the way to the edges. You want to make sure that those edges are down good. And then I'm going to place it on my pitcher where I want it. Push it down all around without being very easy so I don't mess up those pretty details of that mold. Sitting like this for just a few minutes. It takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes for that glue to set up enough for me to paint without messing it up. So I'll be right back. This mold is stuck down enough for me to paint now, and for that I'm going to use Fusion and the color Rose Water. It's this beautiful dusty pink. It is my favorite pink. It's very vintage looking. The mold is still wet, so I'm being careful, but this will prevent it from cracking. Painting it while it's wet seems to help with any cracking, which I don't think it would hurt if this one cracked because it has that look to it anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole picture except for the inside. Okay, the paint is dry. I did 2 coats of that rose water, and as much as I love rose water with white wax on it more. So to finish this off, I'm going to use some DIY white wax over this entire picture, and it will stay in all the details of that mold and really highlight those as well. My mold is still kind of wet, so I'm not rubbing really hard. I got a really soft brush so I can make sure to get in there. Okay, and then when I wipe back the excess off the high parts, see how that white wax stays down in there? Looks so pretty. I do like to take a brush and feather it out. I don't like big clumps there on the edge. That's just me. It's just something I do. Now, all that will be left to do with this is fill it full of flowers. Now, something like this will sell for Valentine's because men will come in, you know, on their way home from work. It's like, oh, I didn't get anything for Valentine's Day. I have the perfect thing. And they were like, okay, she'll love that. Look how pretty that looks. And one of the things that I love most about that situation is now someone's handmade pottery that had been donated to the thrift store from 1970 will live on to see another day. And someone else will love it. That is the whole reason why this job is so important to me and you guys. This project, I hope, is going to be very easy. I think this used to be a clock. This is how I got it. I don't know how much I paid for it. Someone had already spray painted it white, so I just come back and distressed it a little bit. It was just a little too stark white. And I've been trying to decide what to put here. I don't like to put a lot into my Valentine's upcycles because they're not exactly the greatest sellers unless they are floral arrangements or something like that that can be given away as a gift. So something like this may or may not sell, but I think it would be beautiful in my display. So I went through and I had this little... it's old. I had this old little saucer with the beautiful little roses. It does have some imperfections, but just like this clock base, it also does too. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to try to glue that right on there. And then I can also maybe add a little flower arrangement or something here for my display. And I'm going to use a combination of Titebond glue and hot glue. My hot glue is heated up, so first I'm going to put pretty good layer of Titebond, and this is a really strong glue. Anything I've ever glued with this, it stays. So I'm going to go all the way around with a good layer of the Titebond. And then I'm going to take the hot glue and do a blob there, and a blob there, blob there, blob there. I can clean up the back on this. And then I'm going to make sure I have it facing the right direction and just sit it in there. And I'm going to put something heavy on it while it dries, and we'll see how that turns out. I am dead set on using this sweet little guy. So I cut him out, and he fits on this box. But I am going to frame him out. Let's see, $3.99, probably half off. So I probably paid about $2 for this box. Looks like a Hobby Lobby piece. And I can do a floral arrangement. It's got some damage, so it definitely needs to be painted anyway. Right off the bat, I'm going to quickly put a little white coat on here so I can decoupage him down. But I don't think the final color is going to be white. So I'm just going to do this little area right here and probably do 2 coats so that wood doesn't show through. Okay, 1 coat's going to be fine. I'm going to definitely bring it down to the bottom more because I'm going to frame it out. And I don't mind cutting off his feet, but I don't want to cut off a whole lot. Look at his little sad face. So cute. Let me get him down here. For the frame, with the style that he is, I don't want to do something, you know, extremely into, I don't know, with a whole lot. I want to keep him kind of simple. So I'm going to use the Faux Boys. There. That's the name of it. It's got all of these like wood pieces, and it's even got like the corner pieces. So I'm going to use this smallest one and make a little frame, like a little wood frame. All right, my glue is dry. My clay is still a tad bit wet, but I'm going to go ahead and paint this, and I'm going to paint it with weathered wood. I just got to be really careful on this mold. I at least want to get 1 coat of paint on the mold as it's drying. Okay, this is all completely dry. I did have to do just a few little touch-ups. You'll always have a little shrinkage on your molds, but we didn't have any cracking, so that's good. So there's a couple of different things I want to do to finish this off, and I want to go ahead and make it look like wood again. So I'm going to take just some random pieces of, what is this, barnwood planks, and I'm going to use some white ink. Before I do the final seal, I'm going to dry brush a little bit over my mold here. And then I will seal it up with Big Top. And then finally, I'm going to just put a pretty little pink floral arrangement inside of it. And finally, what y'all been waiting for, here is the reveal of my vintage Valentine display. much for watching today's video. I hope you felt inspired to create your own Valentine display in your store or your booth or just for your home. Don't forget about my other YouTube channel, especially if you love paper crafting. It's called Susie Scraps, and I will link it down below. I'm having loads of fun over there creating handmade books and ephemera, so check that out. And before you click out of this video, be sure you give it a thumbs up. That helps me grow here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. See you next week.